American forces are carrying out previously unannounced military exercises in Syria. It comes after Russia threatened to enter parts of southern Syria where U.S. forces are. Kylie Atwood, our CBS News State Department reporter, has been following all this, joins us now from the D.C. newsroom. Okay, Kylie, what exactly are these American forces doing, and what's the significance of it? Why are they doing it now?
Right. So, Brooke, as you said in the introduction there, the U.S. is carrying out military exercises in southern Syria. Why is this so extraordinary? Because they were unexpected. The U.S. does not traditionally do this, but they're doing it because American military personnel were informed that the Russians were considering precision airstrikes in the region, which would target terrorists. But because the U.S. have troops on the ground there, they were completely not okay with that. They rejected the premise of those strikes. And they wanted to show the Russians, to show Assad, to show Iran that the U.S. is still on the ground in Syria, and it has the military heft to go after anyone that they need to. These exercises are being carried out by over 100 U.S. Marines. There are about 2,000 U.S. military personnel in Syria. So the U.S. is very much still there, and they want to show that, especially to the Russians right now.
I want to make sure I understand the connection. They're saying Russia don't carry out what you're planning because we're already doing something similar?
They're saying, Russia, don't carry out what you're planning because what you're planning is close to where American troops are. So you might hit Americans. Russians aren't very good at precision airstrikes. We're seeing them carry out an assault right now in Idlib, which they claim is taking out terrorists. It's also killing a lot of Syrian civilians. So the U.S. wants to prevent that. It also wants to protect its troops on the ground.
Yeah, is this a response to what happened in Idlib? And explain a bit more about what happened there.
It's actually separate from what's happening in Idlib. As I said, Russia is carrying out an assault there. It is the last held area in all of Syria by rebels, and the Assad regime is moving in there very quickly. They've got the Russians backing them in the airspace right now. But the important thing here is that the U.S. has time and time again said that if there are chemical weapons that are used, the U.S. would consider using military heft to go after the Assad regime and his backers for that use. Now, just today, we heard Ambassador Haley up the ante. She said that the U.S. would consider an assault on Idlib to be a dangerous escalation of the conflict in Syria, and saying that the consequences will be dire, indicating that the U.S. may actually carry out a military strike in Idlib, not even if just chemical weapons are used, but if traditional warfare is used.
We're there primarily to try and knock out ISIS. How is that going? What do we expect to happen with that?
That's right. And so the U.S. is thinking that in the next few weeks, U.S. officials tell me, they are going to start carrying out their last phase of that process. The U.S. has taken away more than 90% of the territory in Syria that was originally controlled by ISIS. So now it's just less than 10% that they've got to go in and target. It's going to be a very hard assault. U.S. military personnel have acknowledged that. It's not going to take that long, however. We think that it'll take a few months, and so that means that the U.S. will essentially be done with its counter-ISIS operations, technically speaking, on the ground in Syria. But we heard from the new ambassador he's actually special representative to Syria, Ambassador James Jeffrey, and he said just this week that the U.S. is not in a hurry to pull out of Syria, basically saying that even when we've defeated ISIS, we are still going to stay there on the ground so that we can be assured that ISIS and the terrorists stay away, also so that they can push on the Iranian actors that are really, really ingrained throughout Syria.
Okay, and we saw how tough and bloody the last phases of the fight to take over Mosul from ISIS in Iraq was, so we'll watch how these last parts of Syria go. Kylie Atwood in Washington, thanks so much for your time.